to the Bold Life Movement podcast. I'm coming to you live from the beautiful jungle in Colombia, where I've just been on a week-long retreat with one of my business mentors and 26 other epic, incredible, powerful women. And in today's episode, I want to talk about what has been so integral to quantum leaping in my life this year and really leaning into the Boldest Year Yet challenge, which I announced earlier this year. And there's a couple really specific things that I've done to make this year the best year of my life, to literally love who I am and who I'm becoming more than I ever have before, and to know that it's only getting better. So one of the main things, and this may be a kind of taboo topic, which is why we're bringing it up on the Bold Life Movement podcast, is giving up alcohol. Pause for dramatic effect. I started talking about this on my social media channels a couple weeks ago, and it's been so top of mind and it's been so powerful for me that I just felt like it was time for sort of this like coming out of the closet, the sober closet, and really sharing with you all what being sober has meant for me. It's something that, to take things back a little bit, I'm an Enneagram 7. Enneagram 7s love abundance. They want more of things. They want more variety, more experiences, more adventure. And, the shadow side of more is addiction. It is gluttony. It is that you don't really know when to let something go. And when I reflect on my journey with alcohol, it was never something that I thought was a big quantity issue, meaning that I wasn't drinking a bottle of wine every night or 2 bottles or hiding flasks in my purse or whatever. It wasn't the like stereotypical things that we associate with alcohol addiction. And so I didn't really think there was a problem. And by society's standards, I had a pretty normal relationship with alcohol. What flipped the switch for me and what brought some new awareness was this recurring thought I had around drinking less often, not having a glass of wine every day, not having a beer at the brewery with my friends, and realizing that I had a hard time leaning into that. So something that should have, if I'm not addicted to it, should have been easy for me to walk away from on a day-to-day basis wasn't. And so I decided to do like a 6-week sober experiment. And about a week into it, I was really struggling, and I had friends who, bless them, have so many incredible, supportive, well-resourced individuals in my life. I had friends share with me that when we give up things which we typically get a high dopamine hit from, oftentimes we go back to them because the dopamine withdrawals that we are experiencing feel worse than what we felt when we were allowing ourselves to have the thing. So whether that is social media or alcohol or sugar, it takes really around 4 to 6 weeks for the body to get over the dopamine withdrawals. So what I discovered when I started this 6-week sober experiment was the first couple weeks, it was pretty top of mind. It felt challenging, and I felt like I was really giving something up by not having the drink when I was out with my friends, by not having the glass of wine when I wanted to sort of like unwind from the day, get off the screen, and shift gears a little bit, right? I had become addicted to the habit and addicted to the poison, the toxin. Like, we cannot disagree. Alcohol is poison. It just is. Even when I was drinking it, like, I knew this. And fortunately, someone introduced me to, I don't even know how I met this person. I think we're just social media friends. They commented a book that was really supportive for them called This Naked Mind. And what's really powerful about this book is that it doesn't tell you to stop drinking, first of all. And it helps you to actually reframe your entire relationship to alcohol. So by the end of reading this book, you don't feel like you're giving anything up. You actually feel like, thank God I never have to have that again if I don't want to. Thank God I don't have to feel that way in the morning. I don't have to feel unproductive. I don't have to feel brain fog and fuzzy and all these things. And she just really put language, the author, I think her name is Annie Grace, she just really put language to a lot of things that I had experienced over the years with my relationship to alcohol. And I didn't have the verbiage for it at the time. I didn't know anyone else that could tell me from a scientific perspective what I was actually experiencing. So, for example, she talks about how when we are arriving at a table at a bar or a restaurant, and the moment we know that we get to have the drink, our whole demeanor changes. And so, what this shows is that it's actually the idea of the alcohol, not the alcohol itself, that is giving us the perceived pleasure of the alcohol. Okay, so it's the idea that we get to relax before we ever even had a sip. Like, it hasn't even arrived at the table yet, and we're already shifting our mood. And on the other end of the spectrum, this pervasive thought that, oh, I can't wait to have a drink. Oh, a drink would really help me unwind. Oh, it's going to be so nice when I can crack open a bottle later. That's the toxins in the substance having hold on our psyche. Because the truth is, when we have a few sips and we have a glass and we have a glass or two, it doesn't make us more productive over time. And from a psychological and a scientific standpoint, it's actually not bettering our system at all. So, zooming out and sort of switching gears a little bit, the biggest thing that I noticed when I was maybe 4 weeks into the experiment was how happy I felt. It's absurd. It was like my entire emotional homeostasis shifted. It raised so many levels I can't even put it into words. I didn't realize how unhappy I was. I didn't realize that my PMS each month was 10x'd because I had compounded substance abuse, over the many years, compounded toxins in my system, in my liver. And it was affecting how I saw the world. It was affecting how I saw myself. It was affecting how I saw others. And looking back, I was in such a victim state of mind. I found myself being really angry with people a lot. I found myself having conversations with them in my head where I was blaming them for the ways that they had hurt me, the ways they had abandoned me. And now I look back at those same situations with such gratitude, and I react or respond is a more appropriate word to new situations where the same thing is happening, like life is still lifing, but my reaction to it or my response is so different. It's so much more grounded. It's so much more embodied. I allow the emotions to come up. I move through them, and that's that. It doesn't last. It's not pervasive. It's not this existential despair that had become my norm. I look on 2021 to beginning of 2024 and remember so many very vivid moments when I was like, get me the F out of here. Like, being a human is just way too hard. And I now have such a relationship with spirit and with the ethers that I'm like, that's better. I'd rather be there. Don't make me have to do this anymore. Truthfully, like, those were the thoughts that were circulating in my system. And now, without the toxins of alcohol in my body anymore, I don't have those thoughts. I feel free. I feel light. And I see opportunity everywhere. I see magic everywhere. And the challenges that do come up, because like I said, life is still gonna life. I'm like, wow, what a lesson. Wow, I'm so resilient. Wow, I'm so grateful for how I respond to that now versus how I used to. And I just cannot tell you how free I am. So I bring this up because I make up that there's a lot of people in my community who are sober curious and who have similar relationships to the idea of giving up that I did, where I was like, oh, I love the culture. I love tasting things. I love variety. I love wine bars and travel and, you know, the complexities of different beers and wines and things like that. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't miss it. And I know that it's always there if I want it, but like I don't want it. And and so this is just a permission slip to get curious. If that book calls to you, if the idea of a sober experiment calls to you, I'm here to support in whatever way I can. There were so many conversations at the retreat this past week where people shared, they reflected back to me that they are exactly where I am, or currently they're exactly where I was 2 months ago. And they've been like oscillating between wanting to just not have it in their life, knowing that their spiritual evolution is sort of dependent on limiting it or excluding it entirely, and feeling like they weren't capable or they weren't ready. And then talking with me about it, it seemed like maybe this is the sign that they needed. And they're looking into the book that I mentioned. It's just, I can't, I wish I could articulate how different I feel, you guys. It's like I am a different person. I have jumped timelines in terms of who I was destined to be and who I am becoming now. Oof, I just got chills. Another thing that's really powerful that I really want to mention is when I had the idea to start decreasing the amount of alcohol in my life, and when I really started to pay attention to the internal voice that said, honey, you gotta let it go if you want to get to where you're meant to be spiritually, if you want to become the clean channel that your soul is waiting for you to embody. Everywhere that I looked, someone that I look up to was talking about how they had given up alcohol. I'm not joking. It was like every day a new email came into my inbox from mentors, people that I subscribe to, or I saw something on Instagram where they were saying, here's why I gave up alcohol. Here's an interview that I did, Mel Robbins is an example. Here's an interview I did with a doctor around the actual effects of alcohol and how our society is programming us to look at it in a way that's totally inaccurate. And I can't tell you how supportive that felt for me to take that step forward. I can see my camera's rocking as the wind blows here on the balcony. If you're not watching this on YouTube or if you don't see any of the clips on Instagram, I encourage you to, because it's quite lovely. But yeah, I just want this to be one of many that will probably come into your field. One of many reminders that if you have that thought, if you have that idea, if you have that desire to let it go, you can. You can. And if you want to pick it back up, you can. Nothing is permanent. There's no part of me that's saying I'm never going to have alcohol again because A, I don't live my life in black and white. That feels illogical. And I believe there will be a time when I'll want to have a glass, have a sip, maybe more, and I'll get to decide in that moment how it feels. And it might be a reminder of how much I love not having it in my life. The last thing I want to share about this is, we often, I don't know if you guys can hear the cicadas kicking up in the background, but it's pretty cool. We often say that we want something, but we're unwilling to give up the things that are necessary to give up to get it, or we're unwilling to take on the things that we need to, the problems that are inevitable, the liberations that are inevitable, the habits that are integral to having the thing that we want. And the context that I'm bringing this up is partnership. I've said for years, I really want a partner who doesn't really drink. When I envision my conscious partnership, we aren't getting wasted, definitely not. And we're not having the habit of alcohol in our everyday life. A, because I just love connection without it. I love intimacy without it. And I don't want that to be a place that a lot of our income is going. I don't want us to ever have conversations that are necessary or hard or meaningful under the influence of a toxin, of a substance, and unless it's like a medicine ceremony or something like that. But I realized recently that I wasn't being a match to that kind of partner if I was still having a drink or two every single day or 5 days to 6 days a week. If I want something, I need to become it. We are a match to everything we attract. So if I want to call in a partner who doesn't really drink and has health and vitality and liberation as a big value in their life, then I need to be that. And so letting go of an alcohol based, alcohol laden lifestyle feels like a really big step towards the partnership that I desire. And hearing the reflections of the women at this retreat this past week really anchors in everything that I'm sharing with you right now. It anchors in the embodiment that I feel. I feel like a different person. And for me, that's all I really need. But it's always nice to hear it reflected back to you. For sure. We're human, right? So, I hope that this lands. I hope that this is of service to anyone listening who just has felt the call to shift things in their life, to shift priorities, to shift habits, to step into a new way of being. If we want to get somewhere we've never been, we've got to do things we've never done. And sometimes that means stopping doing things we've always done. So just know that I'm sending you guys so much love, whether you are choosing a sober, curious lifestyle journey, chapter, experiment, whatever, or you're not. I appreciate you listening. And if this resonated with you, please leave me a comment over on Instagram, shoot me a DM at the Kimberly Rich, and just know that I'm here to support you. I'm sending you so much love. Mwah.